welcome back to the Fortitude Fix. My name is DaShanna, and in today's video, I'm going to be answering one of the most frequently asked questions, and that is, did being a doula prepare you for motherhood? And I'm super excited to dive into it, so I hope you are as well. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I make lifestyle and mommyhood videos here. I have a 4-month-old baby girl. I can't even believe that I am saying that. I have a 4-month-old baby girl named Nova, and I'm a first-time mom. So I am navigating all things first-time mom, first pregnancy. I documented it all here on this channel. And yeah, I also have sickle cell disease, type SC hemoglobin, and I know a lot of you who watch my videos do as well, or you have children that have sickle cell. So I really just wanted to be another voice in the community to share my entire pregnancy journey as well as beyond with what's been going on. I hope that you will subscribe if you haven't already, but let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, so the most common question I probably received in the last couple of weeks or so is if being a doula has prepared me for motherhood. And I often answer it in the same way. It's like yes, but also no. Especially becoming a first-time parent, there's so much change that happens. You have no idea how that change will affect you personally. There are some things throughout your life that maybe you could reflect on. How did you respond to that time you felt like you had zero control? How did you respond to when you had midterms and finals and you slept 0 hours ever? So how did your body react to that? How did you mentally respond to that? That could be some indication. You know, have you had experience with depression before? You know, maybe you know what those feelings are, what those triggers are, but honestly, like, nothing can truly compare to the experience of it yourself. And it's important to learn and to research, but until you know how that affects you specifically, you kind of don't know. And I don't say that as a means to make anyone afraid or make anyone like weary of becoming a parent, but I'm just saying, just like every pregnancy and every baby is different, the way in which you respond to certain things that parenthood brings is going to be different. So I can tell you everything that happened to me and everything that I felt, but that may or may not be your truth. And so I think that's really important, is that you do all the research, that you know the names of things, that you are prepared for certain situations as best as you can, but reserving a little bit of understanding that you just won't know until it happens. And I think that's really important in terms of expectation setting for you, for your baby, for your partner. Just leave some room to figure it out as it happens. Don't be so rigid and like, well, this is what I saw in that book, and so I'm not feeling that, so that means something's wrong. Leave room for yourself to thrive, to learn, to grow, to feel all the things, and move forward. I want to define what a doula is. If you have never heard of a doula, if you don't know what that means, essentially it is a person who offers support and guidance to a pregnant individual and their support system before, during, and after childbirth and the whole labor and delivery process. I am a trained doula and I love birth work in general. For as long as I can remember, knew that I wanted to have some hand in the delivering of babies. I am super infatuated with pregnancy and babies and newborns, and I decided to become a doula because of it. We also offer information and guidance. Sometimes we act as like the go-between between delivering parent and support system and hospital staff. Being a doula did in fact give me a different footing as it related to a couple of different things. So I want to share that with you. I know a lot of you have asked me questions over on my Instagram about becoming a doula, and I have a whole series about how to become a doula and what my experience was, so be on the lookout for that. But becoming a doula helped me in a few ways. One of them being the medical jargon that's out there and understanding what certain words meant, what certain acronyms meant, what names of medications, what those medications did. I was able to understand that as well. I also attended a few different births, so I knew what newborn life was like in the first few hours. I wasn't caught off guard when baby pooped for the first time and it was like completely black. It looked like tar. I wasn't caught off guard by that. I understood the stages of labor and how to offer and provide comfort. I was able to share with my husband what type of comfort I needed in the moment and use particular words and techniques that he could assist me with. During this time, I was not able to have my own personal doula there with me because of COVID, but my husband kind of acted as my doula as well as my husband, which was quite a lot for him, I think. I was also able to know what questions to ask, when to ask them, and how to prepare my husband for certain instances that might occur. I felt that, one, I am a health educator and advocating for myself and my health, especially with the disparities that exist among Black women and women of color delivering and giving birth to children in this country. I felt like I just had to be that person already to advocate for myself, but I provided a lot of information to my husband as well in the event that something happened to me, or in the event that I was unable to speak for myself, especially since we weren't allowed to have any other folks in there with us, like our moms, or for example. So I wanted to make sure that my husband was well aware of certain things, that he was able to speak for me and ask the questions that were needed and demand assistance and help in a timely fashion. I was able to really understand more about the laboring process. Although I had never had experienced labor before, as I'm a first-time mom, I was able to know certain positions and techniques that I wanted my husband to help me with during my labor process, as my goal was to really have my daughter without an epidural. So I felt like our communication among what we wanted to do and our pain management and all of that were conversations that we were able to have beforehand, and a lot of that stemmed from being a doula and seeing a lot of the outcomes, seeing a lot of conversations that happened for the first time in the delivery room, as well as just understanding and reading all of the text that we needed to do in order to become doulas. I was able to really understand breathing and breath and the importance of remaining relaxed and calm. Although I totally understand like that feeling of like being afraid of pain and not really knowing kind of how to manage that, but I feel like the knowledge of certain types of breath and understanding the cycle that occurs when we have this idea of pain, our bodies tense up, therefore we're not calm and relaxed, therefore that has an effect on our body, especially during the labor process. So I was able to understand, I didn't want to fear anything, and that led to, one, more education, because I think education alleviates a lot of fear, but also knowing that I didn't want to experience a feeling of fear because I knew the effect that can have on my body and how that it could affect my labor process. A lot of mind shift work happened due to that, as opposed to not having this particular type of education and letting fear kind of rule the situation. I was able to create a birth plan that felt comfortable to me and my partner at the time. Granted, I think everybody should have a birth plan, but also understand that birth is one of those things that never go according to plan. So having a plan, but being flexible in the sense that knowing that plan will change. Being a doula also helped me really understand hospitals and hospital protocol and what nurses and doctors are able to do versus what they're not, and kind of what procedures have to happen first before they get to a certain point and all of those things. So really just understanding kind of their job, I guess, as my care team helped me to communicate better with them, ask the right questions, and also not be surprised when certain things needed to happen. For example, after I gave birth, I was on the verge of a quote-unquote hemorrhage. So I believe when you lose blood about 500 milliliters, so I was maybe about 50 milliliters below that, and my midwife was able to communicate that with me, and I knew what that meant. I knew what the word hemorrhage meant. I knew what the milliliters were. I understood what the implications of certain decisions were, in the moment, and I felt really comfortable with having conversations with my midwife at the time. I also knew, that brings me to another point, I also knew that I was able to request a midwife. I knew that at the hospitals in which I delivered that you would be seen by an OBGYN, whoever is there on call. You also have the ability to request a midwife if your situation wasn't super high risk. I am technically high risk because I have sickle cell disease. However, they asked me if I wanted to see a midwife or an OB, and I chose midwife, which I am very happy and glad that I did. I also knew what to expect postpartum. I know that they want to know how many poopy diapers and how many times baby fed since the last time they came in, and the hospital where I delivered gave me like a little check-off card of like, okay, write down, you know, every single time you feed baby, how long they fed for, when you changed their diapers, what time it was, and what kind of a diaper was it, and all that good stuff. So I kind of knew what to expect. I knew that I needed to be thinking about that and tracking that so that it wasn't a surprise that like, oh my gosh, now I have to write this down and I have to remember what to do in this situation or like what to ask for. I already kind of knew those things ahead of time. I also educated myself a lot about breastfeeding. Part of my doula training was a reading list and really taking into account breastfeeding and postpartum depression and all of those things that kind of could arise. So I was able to, one, be super knowledgeable and create a breastfeeding system at home, a breastfeeding basket full of all of the things that I would potentially need once I got home in order to breastfeed successfully. And I'll link that video up in the iCards and also in the description below, but I wanted to make sure that I was prepared. I automatically requested that I wanted to meet with lactation. I said I wanted to see a lactation consultant when we moved to our labor and delivery room. One of the most useful tips or tricks that I will share is that the use of the hamburger. So taking kind of your nipple and where baby's nose is and creating like a hamburger to get that milk or that colostrum into baby, and use kind of this as the way to form your breast and your nipple to create a deeper latch. So things like that were just really helpful for me in the hospital. I wouldn't maybe have known otherwise to ask for a lactation consultant since they don't go to everybody, at least at the place where I delivered. As mentioned before, I don't know if there is any one book, one course, one conversation, or a series of things that can really prepare you for motherhood or parenthood in general. But I do feel that being a doula and having experience in hospitals, in the labor and delivery unit, having seen vaginal deliveries as well as cesarean sections, speaking to med students, speaking to nurses, midwives, and OBs, just having the experience of seeing what labor and delivery looks like on so many different occasions, I was able to have a separate set of knowledge that came in very handy. Part of my being able to speak to my husband and put words to my emotions and my feelings is because I had done so much prior research in becoming a doula. So if you are interested in becoming a doula, if you are a person of color and you want to become a doula, I'm going to just say it right now. Please do it. Please find a organization, do it. The health disparities that affect women of color, birthing pregnant women of color, Black women specifically, are astonishing, heartbreaking, but we need more doulas and more nurses and more OBs that look like the populations that they are serving, because there comes a sense of understanding, a sense of love and worth and preservation of a people that is so important. So if you're interested in learning more about what it is to become a doula, what it is that I experience, leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. I look forward to making all the doula related videos if you want to see them. So let me know and I got you. I promise, I got you. Just let me know if you want to see those from me and I will happily oblige. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I appreciate your love and support. I will see you in my next one and it won't be too far away, I promise. Go ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time. As always, remember to fill your Bye.